Welcome back, Brothers Contracting. Once again, episode 6. Cory Fischman and Chad Fischman here, and today we had an interesting topic, kind of diverting a little bit from just the general business talk to talk about something we deal with on a day-to-day basis that's can be challenging at times and can be wonderful at others. And so the topic today
is the good, the bad, the ugly of retail clientele.
Oh, yeah.
And there is good, bad, and ugly.
That's the truth of it, for sure.
What would you say is a scenario of a tough client that we've kind of come across, or a situation that, a lot of people, obviously in retail, you're dealing with loads of people, constant, and you're going back to square one with everybody because it's more of an educational process. But, in terms of a specific scenario where you feel like you're not getting anywhere with them, with like a showroom meeting, for example, what are some of the scenarios you've seen there? Like they're not listening, they're walking around, they're not listening to anything you're saying, and they keep telling you what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a bunch of stories with that because you're the one meeting with all of them up front.
Yeah, so I meet with every client in the showroom right off the bat, and yeah, that can be a challenging space. For me, right away, it's challenging because of just how monotonous it is. I go into the showroom and literally have the same checklist that I read down every single time. It's a 2-hour meeting typically with each one of our clients. And so right off the bat, that's a lot of time to spend with people and be standing and on point and talking and discussing and educating and listening and all of that. And so even for a meeting that just goes as smooth as can be, it's still a draining process. But sometimes it does not go very smooth. And that's when things get a little dicey, and my brain starts just going to far away places. It's I do have clients come in here sometimes, and I really do, like I said, I have a list that I go down, a checklist of very specific items that we're trying to talk about. Obviously, 2 hours is a long time to come into a showroom and spend and talk and meet and all of that. And I'm kind of giving a short dissertation on patio projects and outdoor appliances and all that kind of stuff. I don't expect people to retain it all.
Right.
And because that's come from, over a decade of me learning this stuff. But really, I'm just trying to kind of discuss the options and jot down notes on what things people are liking right then and there so that we can get a quote out to them.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Sometimes we speak, Cory and I both, and anybody who's been with us in the office space over the years, we speak so quickly about certain things, whether it's a glow rod igniter on that one, or it's a sear burner. Well, a lot of people come in and I don't even know what a sear burner is, and so It's almost like when I was a financial advisor for years, we would go back and forth on, oh yeah, the beta on that fund is this, and it's the jargon of the industry. And so for us, sometimes it comes across like it makes complete sense. What do you mean you don't understand what a sear burner is or infrared burner? But we're just throwing terms out really quick, and to the point where they're not retaining that because, first of all, it just flew right over their head. But they'll nod at you and say, yeah, okay, and then they'll call you a week later. What is that burner that we got in the grill?
Which is why I've had to kind of teach myself throughout the years a process in terms of discussing these topics with everybody when they are in the showroom, because that's the initial visit where really I need to get some selections from them, but they need to understand what they're looking at in order to make selections and to make choices of the high-priced one or the very high-priced one. And so I'm giving that knowledge and that feedback from what I'm, getting, back from the clients. We're kind of going through that process in terms of discussing each and every element and item so that I can get selections from them. But sometimes I have clients that just do not want to listen. They don't want to hear what I'm saying, and they don't want to make selections in any order whatsoever. They just, look at this over here. This, how cool is this? Can you come tell me about this? What are your thoughts on this? And even when they, some of these clients, when they ask me to come and talk to them about something, halfway in the middle of my explanation, they jump onto something else. Oh, well, could you talk to me about the refrigerator over here, though, instead? I thought you wanted to know about the pizza oven. Like, what's going on? Oh, yeah, but what's the warranty on this one? I've heard all kind.
I used to do a lot of these meetings too years ago, and it was funny because a lot of the times, usually a couple would come in, a husband, wife, whatever it is, and the one may be jumping around, and then the other one's listening to you. So now you got one wandering off.
Oh, they take you into they try to pull you apart into two separate
like,
places.
Honey, come look at the ledger stone over here. This is really pretty. And then you're in the middle of talking about the sear burner on the one grill. And now that person's thrown off, they're going that way, or now you're having to re-explain it again a second time because that person wasn't in the room, or they're walking off, or
for a meeting that's already taking a lot of time, for you to have to explain everything twice, it can be very challenging. And
those onboarding meetings can be hard, and that's one of the first things.
I try and start off the meeting every time explaining. Once again, I've already explained to them over the phone on the initial phone call what our process is, what our system is, how it all works. And then when they come in for the showroom, which is the second time we speak to them, I go over that entire process again in even more detail. I show them video about how we do design work and this and that, so they understand where we're headed, what we're trying to do. And then I explain to them, look, I've got this checklist. We're going to be succinctly going through it one item at a time. I have a reasoning as to why we're going through all of this, and we're going to make it through. I promise I'm going to answer every question. And that's the truth. Literally, for any client who just goes with me and goes through the process, which is most of the clients. Most people come in looking for that education and knowledge and experience that I have to offer them, and wanting to go through what we do here and make the selections they need to make. And so everyone who does, by the end, I typically always say, okay, did you have any other questions or thoughts on your project? And they pretty much every single time they look and say, I think we went through all of it and then some. Yep. And I said, well, that's the point. That's exactly how I've designed it to be. But
we definitely have a unique retail experience in a way because of, up front, we ask all of our clients to come to our showroom first. We go through this meeting where we go detailed selection by selection before we've even given a quote, just so that we can appropriately give a quote instead of showing up at somebody's house, because everybody's like, why can't you just come out here and quote me? Because if we just come out to your house like every other contractor and just look at the space with you, we don't know what grill you want. We don't know if you want tile or stucco. And even so, even if you did know that, we can't just give you a quote right out the gate like that. And so it's kind of a tough scenario in our retail front because it is this custom experience, more of a bespoke experience. Whereas like if you're going to Starbucks, retail Starbucks is a very different experience. I'll have a grande cold brew. Mm-hmm. Okay, here. It's like, I got it, you get it, and that's it. You're out of there.
I typically, on the initial phone call, because our showroom meetings by appointment only, we want you as a consumer to be the only person here with us in the showroom while we're going through this discussion, so that we can just really have focused time to go through.
Yeah, doors locked.
The door's locked, literally. It's just time for us to go through that process and discuss your project. And but the initial phone call, I explain that whole process, and I let people know that that's that's what this is geared towards. We're really trying to walk you through it. I tell people, even just for outdoor kitchens alone, I give the example of just like a very basic kitchen, like an 8-foot freestanding kitchen with a grill, a refrigerator, and a trash pull-out, and doors below the grill. And I say that kitchen could be $20,000, and that same exact kitchen, same size, same layout of appliances, could be $40,000. It depends on the selections that you make. And so where I could come to your house and say, yep, we can build an outdoor kitchen here, and yep, it would have a grill and a fridge, and and I could get you a quote that says $20,000, but then you say, okay, well, what's the warranty on the grill? What's the lifespan of this product? What does it look like? What are the materials we're using? You wouldn't know any of that, which honestly a lot of our competition does, and that way. And then once you say, okay, let's do it, and then they start tagging on extra cost as you go through. So for us, we wanted to do it differently. That's something we've learned with our customers throughout the years, that we find that really beneficial to be very upfront from the start. very transparent, and let you make the selections and explain to you, I think you're making expensive selections. So that price range I told you, think on the high end of that,
I think both you and I, though, have a lot of like honesty, integrity, and also understand the feeling of guilt. If you were not being honest up front, you wouldn't feel good about it. If you were telling somebody a low number up front, knowing that it's going to go somewhere else, you wouldn't feel good about it. A lot of guys like to do that just so that they can get the bid, though. So it's easy.
Correct.
It's like, I'll do it for 20 grand. Sure. Oh, well, you didn't tell me that you had, whatever paver in the way, or, I didn't know that there was going to be this electrical conduit sticking out of here, and now it's going to be an extra $2,000, and they almost like want to be in an argumentative phase. And that's why in South Florida, contractors in general tend to get a really bad rap, because it's like every one of them seem to be doing this bait and switch kind of process. And,
of course, this leads to another challenging scenario with customers that we deal with, which is trust. There's the trust thing, but I guess trust has to play into it, but it's customers coming to us saying, well, I don't understand, guys. The quote that I got from you for my outdoor kitchen was $45,000. I got a quote from somebody else for $21,000.
Right. Yeah.
$21,000.
Yeah, let's compare apples to apples.
And then, we always say, okay,
we're the same.
If you'd send us a quote, we'll take a look at it, and we can certainly compare. And usually we put a comparable quote together based on
the
selections that the other contractor had provided them in their quote.
Which they've always put in the low end of everything.
They start with the low end. Yep. Whereas, the quote that we had sent out initially, it's because the client had come in here and made selections. And then it's interesting because the occasions where we've done that, where we've had clients provide us the estimate from somebody else, and then we put it together, and then we present it to them, and it's equivalent basically. And then they'll come back and say, okay, you know what, I like it, but I do like some of the nicer selections that I chose initially with you guys, so I'm going to go with you guys.
And they work back up to 40 grand.
Work back up to, exactly. And so it's dealing with retail clients.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It's really challenging. Sure. We're trying to go through this elaborate process to make sure you understand exactly what you're getting, and you have all of those details lined up perfectly. And then it's like, okay, but you guys are more expensive. But we're not. You just chose more expensive options because I actually provided you options and explained them to you. And, rather than somebody just kind of giving you baseline everything without you knowing.
Yeah.
There's...
What are some of the good scenarios you've had, like in that showroom experience? I know some people are like, man, they are decision makers. They come in ready to hammer it out and could be gone quickly because they know what they want, which...
a baseline good experience that I have in the showroom happens often, which is we have clients come in and they just look at, after everything's said and done, they just look and say, wow, you really do have a solid process. It's pretty impressive to go through this. Thank you for the education you just provided me. And you guys really have your stuff together. That's very obvious and apparent just by going through this. But as you mentioned, some clients come in here, and typically they are clients who've had construction experience in the past.
Or kitchens maybe before.
Or outdoor kitchens that they've done in the past, custom kitchens. And they come in and literally, like, they've done all the research. They already know
what grill
they want, what fridge they want,
finishes.
the reasoning that they... And they have the right reasons for liking the stuff. I have people come in here sometimes who tell me, I know what grill, I know what fridge, and they're telling me... honestly, trash products that I don't know if they had just been, somehow swayed by some online marketing or they just liked the price point on some of this stuff online. But
I think that's one of the hard things too, is sometimes you feel like you're being questioned on your intelligence on the marketplace or knowledge on a product, and it's one of those things. It's like we do this every day, and I know that Google or whatever online said something, and it's like you're trying to fight the Google or websites of their ratings on something, and you're like, why am I arguing with you? We work on these grills every single day. We've done thousands of them. We can tell you what they look like after 2 years and what they look like after 15. And sometimes you just feel like your integrity is being checked or your honesty, and they're almost treating you like just a sales guy that doesn't really know.
That's actually one of the most challenging things that I deal with on a daily basis, because the fact that we do have so much experience, so much knowledge.
I'm not trying to brag for us and say, oh my gosh, we're the end all be all. We're the smartest guys in the industry. But I do feel like we both have, and you in particular, have so much knowledge. It's incredible.
Anybody coming in here to buy a project from us, I have way more knowledge on these projects than them, that, on how these things work, because otherwise they'd be building it for themselves. That, if they had as much experience and knowledge as me, it means that they've worked in this industry.
Right.
You can't gain this much knowledge without doing it for a long, long time. And so not only have we done this stuff for a long time, but both Chad and I are very active in expanding and broadening our horizons within the realms that we work in. We both like to really research and dive in deep. So, not only do we, do patio construction and outdoor kitchens and everything, but I'm a master qualifier gas installer for the state of Florida. I'm a general contractor, of course. I go even deeper and look into gas engineering to understand how gas appliances are manufactured. Once again, not like trying to be braggadocious or anything like that. It's just what I like. I just am interested in learning all the time and learning new things. And so, yeah, when customers come in and they speak to me as if like,
what are you here for? Why are you even here then?
Right.
If you don't trust me.
I start talking about grills and or something like that, and they say, well, I don't agree. I read some things about that, and I've heard that it's blah blah this and that and that, and this grill I know is the best grill on the market.
You're right. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I'm a dum-dum.
I haven't ever worked on these before. I've never done this. You're right. Today's my first day in the showroom.
Yeah,
here.
Why don't you show me how it works? It's like, you tell me.
It can be very, very frustrating, mentally challenging to handle a scenario like that. Once again, it's already a challenging scenario where I'm spending 2 hours just blurting out, information and having a back and forth with a client in a meeting,
and then to be a setback,
and then to be like
almost argumentative, or like not listening. You came into here. I almost feel like we're in a way dealing with something similar that doctors deal with. Where they're dealing with 40 patients in a day. They sit down with them, and the patients tell them, well, I read on Google that my knee it's a torn ACL, and the doctor's like, no, it's not. It's not a torn ACL. I know it. Okay, no, but I read it on Google. Okay, go take your lectures with Google and figure out.
Let Google fix your knee. Then.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you just start getting shorter and shorter, and that's not who we want to be.
No.
And so we try really hard not to do that. But man, some days, especially at the end of the day, you're just like, my gosh.
I try and prep myself before I go into the meeting. I try and get into like a mental headspace to be like, okay, you know what you're going into now. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be anything in between. Let's just be ready for whatever and just go with the flow.
I'm sorry, I spiraled back off of the good into the bad again. So it's much easier to talk about that because there's so much that gets you, anguish going, and you're like, but we do have a lot of good. And so back to that.
Well, I was going to say though, in terms of what we were just discussing, that is a really big difference between for construction, like residential work versus commercial work. With this residential work that we're doing, it's every customer is a brand new customer. We do have to educate each one of them from scratch. We have to impress each one of them from scratch. We have to show each one of them who we are from scratch. And by the time we're done with the project, we've done all of these things, and they love us, and they're impressed by us, and they're like, wow, you guys are an incredible company. And at least most of our clients say that. Right. But at the same time, that's the last we'll ever see them. That's the last we'll ever do work with them. And sure, we might get some word of mouth references from them to their friends, but basically the next customer, even if we do get somebody who was referred
we start back at square one.
They haven't worked with us. They don't know what the experience is like. Yeah. And for the type of work that we do, it's, with patio projects, we also deal with a lot of customers. Everyone we're dealing with typically is fairly wealthy. you kind of have to be for this type of work to do this type of custom construction. It's all luxury stuff.
Oh yeah.
But each one of these individuals, not all of them have done construction before of any sort. Some people have added on to their houses. Some people have remodeled things. Some people have built their houses from scratch. But some of them just come in and have never built anything. They're buying a finished home. They've only ever bought finished homes. And this is kind of their first foray into construction. And construction is, by its nature, it's a challenging thing. It's messy. And we're really good at keeping it clean. But by the nature of construction, it's invasive. It's messy. It's not done until it's done. Most people these days are very used to just ordering something on Amazon and getting a finished product in their hands the next day. And that's it. That's how the world works. And that's not how construction works. And so we do, throughout our processes doing construction, we have a lot of people just like, what is going on here? And then, but our clients that have experience, that have done construction before, they're typically like, wow, you guys are one of the best companies we've worked with, because they're already knowing what to expect, and
it's not good usually.
And it's not good usually. Yeah, correct.
Contractors are not good.
Whereas when you're doing commercial type work, it's interesting because
it's business to business.
It's business to business. You're dealing with people who already understand the industry. They understand the nature of it. They don't live in that location and watch what's happening all day, every day. And you can also get repeat clientele who are just bringing you lots and lots of business. So it's interesting, the individual even just thinking this stuff out before starting a business, perhaps what types of clients you're wanting to work with, the scenarios you're wanting to get into and deal with, because some of this stuff can be
grueling.
Grueling, yeah.
And it can be very rewarding too.
Absolutely.
And I think that speaking off of that, we kind of went into the onboarding part of it. What would you say after that fact, once we've signed a client up for a project or whatever it is, where do you see the good clients fall into place, and how is it that you've seen them work with us? Yeah,
so once again, clients of ours that have done construction work before, once we start going on their project, it's usually we're getting feedback from them just saying, hey guys, we appreciate everything you're doing. You do wonderful work. You communicate with us regularly. We love it. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And we get a lot of that, which is very, very rewarding. And sometimes even when we don't get it throughout the process, at the end of the project, we're typically always most of our clients absolutely love us after the project is done, because we stick to our word. We keep up with what we say, and we do what we say we're going to do, and people appreciate that quite a bit. And
sometimes silent clients is also a good thing too, because then they don't have any issues ongoing, and maybe they're not somebody that's going to say, oh, you did such a great job. We don't need a pat on our back every time for anything, but I think internally a lot of our clients do think that, and they're just not necessarily saying anything because they don't do that necessarily, or in the other direction, they're not complaining about anything either. So sometimes silence is a good thing as well, because it's smooth sailing, everything's going well.
Yeah, our project manager Alan, he's dealing with them once we get out onto the job sites, and he absolutely loves when a client is just kind of
letting them do it.
We have a job to do. We're going to do what we told you we were going to do. And if you just, give us some leeway to get that done, we'll get it done. I promise it'll get done reasonably fast. Some customers we realized over the years, for some reason, I guess probably through prior experiences, they've just developed this mentality. If I'm not an absolute jerk to these guys from day one, they're not going to get anything done. They're not going to do anything for me. They're going to move slow as can be. And it's like, whoa. Could you just give us a minute to show you that we're going to get it done, that we're going to be productive? And so clients that just kind of let us do our thing, it's wonderful because they trust us. It's obvious, and we get it done, and we're going to get it done. And it's we want to get it done as quick as possible. We want to get paid, so we're going to move through the project, and we want the clients to be happy. And so we're going to do what we're supposed to do. Other clients are also silent just because of the fact that they're not here. We do have clients that are seasonal residents, and so they'll tell us, hey guys, we want you to do the work while we're not in town.
Yeah, which is nice too. Well, because a lot of the time
it's nice for both of us. For them, they're not living in a construction zone.
I think that kind of bounces off of one of the points too of a tougher scenario with clients once we've signed is that the second that we're given a deposit, they own us in their mind, and I think that it's kind of tough with that too. It's like, we're not, we've got a lot of clients and we do take, money from you in deposits to do work, but that doesn't mean that we're at your ever beck and call for everything personal at your house that you need done. Sometimes I feel like certain clients will try to take advantage. And that gets tough. Actually, I was speaking to Cory about this earlier, was that one of our grill cleaners came back last night and said, I just need to tell you about a scenario with a client today, just in case you see anything or hear from them. I said, okay, so what's going on? And he said, well, we finished cleaning the grill for this guy, and then he told us to clean the inside of his cabinet out and fully detail it and everything. And it's a big cabinet. And I said, okay, we don't do that. We do grill cleaning. So we're a grill cleaner, and the guy started getting really upset.
He had told us that the guy had given him, a tip.
Yeah, he given him a $15 tip
for the to split between the two cleaners on the job site.
$7 each, $7.50 each for the two cleaners, and paid for the cleaning and a separate check. And he told our tech that that's ridiculous. Like, you should clean the inside of the cabinet. I gave you a tip, and our grill tech said, "Sir, I'm very sorry. It's not something that we do. We're barbecue grill cleaners, and
clean the grill, and as a bonus, we buff and polish all the stainless cabinetry, the outside of it.
Yeah,
that's not.
Yeah, we don't know. Sometimes people we this is something we used to get all the time too with the grill clean. Was like, you clean the inside of the cabinet. We get out there, people have pots and like literally pots with flowers growing out of them or weeds and stuff because it's been sitting under their cabinet.
They might have a bucket in there that's filled with like rat.
Droppings
and all kind of like
chemicals. Like, we're not touching your chemicals. Yeah. We're not moving all of your interior cabinetry stuff around. Like, that's not, that's not, we're barbecue grill cleaners. That's what they're there to do. And there's a price for us to clean a grill. And anyway, so he, which I thought was very mature of him and really smart, of our employee was, he said to the guy, listen, if you think that because you gave us a tip that now we're mandated to clean the inside of your cabinet, then we don't feel comfortable taking your tip, and I'd like you to take it back. And so he did. He gave it back to him. Guy was still not very happy, but the reality is, just because you paid us doesn't mean we're going to clean your toilets and polish your shoes. And sometimes I feel like people feel like money can do anything. If I have money, and I give it to somebody, they'll do anything I ask of them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the more difficult clients to deal with in retail space, is that mentality of, I gave you something, now you owe me. And I think that's tough.
We both say we have, not only the two of us, but honestly, everyone who works here with us, we all take a lot of pride in what we do. We've fortunately managed to find our way into employees over the years that also take a lot of pride in what they do and their job and this business, and we love that here. It's such a great culture that we've been developing. It's very, very hard to be very proud of what you're doing and work your absolute hardest to do it right, to do it at the absolute best level you could possibly think to perform it. And then to be belittled by people, exactly, and to be, right from the start even, before go, to be told that you're not doing it well enough or fast enough or this or that. And, when you haven't even been given the opportunity to get going, and for people to think that they own you and they can tell you absolutely anything, and now I paid you, I just gave you $25,000 check to start my project, and you need to start mine tomorrow, push mine above everybody else, because clearly that must be the biggest check you've ever gotten, let alone, the fact that yesterday we got $100,000 from a, check deposit from somebody for, a full patio project. But on our end, we treat every single client equally. The fact that it was $100,000 yesterday doesn't mean anything. The guy who paid $20 the day before is in line in front of the $100,000 guy. Like, we're going to take care of it in the order that we booked it, because that's the way that it's appropriate. We're going to move through and try to take care of everyone we can as quickly as we possibly can.
Sometimes the squeaky wheel doesn't get the grease.
Grease, yeah.
What was it that you said that one time?
The squeaky mouse doesn't get the cheese. That was a brain fart one day, but I think it had produced some gold, honestly. But it's true. You know, we've really kind of redeveloped our processes here to let people know up front. You know, one of the things that we read off on the invoice before having our clients sign our contract, I'm literally like right in front of them reading this off to them. And I tell them we have a mutual respect policy, and we intend on treating you with the utmost respect throughout the entire process, and all we ask is for the same in return. And then I tell people construction it's a really, you know, it's a tricky business, it's a tricky industry, it's a lot of work, and it doesn't happen overnight, and there can be messes and there can be mistakes. There's human error involved sometimes with things. And I say, if anything happens that frustrates you or isn't right, just call us and calmly let us know, and we'll be happy to take care of you. Like, there's not going to be any question about it. We're going to, you know, if it's something that's clearly, you know, caused by us, it's an issue on our end, we are going to take care of it, no questions asked. But if you call up and you start yelling and cursing, I tell everyone, we're going to take a step back at that point in time, because we've lost something here. We've lost that level of respect. We've lost the level of communication, and that's not going to work for us. And so we're going to hold off on your project moving forward from there and start working on other people's projects until we can get back on the same page together. You know, it's been an interesting process over the years to learn how to interact with customers. You know, I remember one point in time earlier on in this business that I had a client who's really pushing. They were being so aggressive, and it was completely unreasonable, the topic that they were being aggressive about. And I had enough. I hadn't yet learned how to kind of tame my frustrations and everything. And I snapped back at this guy. And I learned a lesson that day, which was the wrong lesson to learn, honestly. I actually learned, because after that client like almost instantly respected me after that, as if this was a type of individual who really needed for you to prove that you're a man and you can stand up for yourself, or whatever it is. Like, you're somebody who's going to stand up for yourself. Smack them across the face once or twice, and then, okay, I've got respect for you. And then from there forward, it was kind of smooth sailing with that client.
So now we do that with everyone, right from the start. That's how we begin our conversation.
Well, like I said, that was a bad learning experience that I had, because later on, you know, I've had another couple of clients who I kind of got put in that same position with, and I had the same kind of reaction. And a couple of them, it did not work out well at all. It really just made me look childish, immature, like somebody who didn't have control of the situation and who wasn't knowledgeable and experienced enough to handle a situation like that. And that really turned out to be the real lesson for me, was that, okay, no matter what the scenario, you have to be the bigger man, you have to be the bigger person, and really try to hear the person out and
take a break from the conversation, and if it's getting heated.
Yeah, if they're really, really kind of blowing off a lot of steam in your direction, you know, perhaps that's the moment to say, okay, calmly, okay, you know, I think that this conversation isn't really going anywhere productive right now. I'm going to have to get off the phone with you, and
we'll get back to you.
And we'll get back to you. You know, we'll get back to you when we're ready to speak. And
because once the curse words start flying, and especially like, I don't even see why we would have any client ever go that direction or that extreme over an outdoor kitchen or an outdoor patio or anything. I mean, this is not a life or death scenario. We're not doing a major operation on your wife or husband in the hospital and something terrible went wrong. Like, it is all very, I mean, this is an extra luxury for everyone. And it's crazy to see people really blow up and react to things that they shouldn't be in our mind. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. And so that's a really difficult scenario to deal with, once clients are onboarded and they just are upset about the smallest stuff in the world. It's incredible. And when we never said we weren't going to help or fix it, we're there to do that. But when you start out, I think a lot of clients have gotten used to the fact that contractors are defending themselves and putting up their spikes, and they're not going to fix it. A lot of them don't. And we stand behind our work. So if there's any issue where there's the paver's a little tilty, it's not setting right, there's no reason to curse us out about that. There's no reason to get that upset.
Yeah.
We're going to come and fix it.
We recently had a client
up to a point, not 5 years later.
Right.
It's not forever. We're not forever warranty people.
Yeah. We did have a client recently who, we built this absolutely beautiful outdoor kitchen for them, and it was 30 feet long, and with the specialty tile on it, it's gorgeous. And we were asking for a final payment minus punch list items. And if you have any punch list items, we'll take care of them. We'll hold back. We had it in our contract. We hold back a certain amount for punch list items. And this client was saying, no, I'm not going to pay you the bulk final payment minus the punch list, because this tile is this one single tile is 1/16 of an inch off from the rest of the tiles on the counter. 1/16 of an inch off. And, for us, it's like, if there's anything on the planet that would be considered a punch list item, I think it would be a discrepancy of 1/16 of an inch on a single tile. But you're going to hold back what, like $20,000 from us?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Because of 1/16 on one tile? That's not reasonable. And it wasn't right. Did we go and take care of that 1/16 of an inch? Yes. Would we have taken care of that 1/16 of an inch had they paid us the bulk final payment minus punch list? Yes. Would we have taken care of that 1/16 of an inch?
Had they paid everything?
They paid absolutely everything, and then called us a few weeks later and said, "Hey, I'm sorry guys, but I just realized, there's this one tile that's kind of really bothering me. Can you come out here and take care of this?"
But that's not something that people are used to. So that's why they put up their spikes and start to fight it from the get. And that's because contractors in general are not going to come and fix it. So we're constantly dealing with a lackluster industry where the standards are low.
By the way, if anyone out there has figured out how to set clients' expectations from the start for custom high-end construction and make sure that they know that you're going to take care of everything ahead of time and that they know not to react in those ways, I'd love to know. I'd love to get your feedback and answers on that, because we've yet to figure out a way to set that expectation for everybody up front.
Well, and that is a big part of the whole topic that we're discussing here, is setting expectations. And I do think that we've corrected and changed and altered year after year, day after day on how are we going to set the expectations? Okay, we need a 3D design to show everything in detail. Okay, we need to have these specific caveats on the contract or estimate that says ledger stone is natural stone. It is not man-made. Coloration will be different on pieces that you see. It's like you got to spell it all out.
Spell it,
but it doesn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter. They've signed off on that contract. They initialed every page of the invoice that has all of those specifics and exclusions and every detail that we could possibly put in. And then in the end, they say, "I don't care. I don't like this, and this paver." Like that could be, "I don't like 25 of these pavers." Even though you told me up front that natural paver stone material is natural and it's going to differ every piece, and I wasn't here the day they were putting it down to specifically tell them which ones not to put down. So after the fact, you've already put the whole patio pavers in, and now I'm going to tell you to come and pull out 25 individual pavers and then put new ones in and buy a whole new pallet of material. That is... I can't explain to people how painful of a process that actually is to do that, to pull out pavers one by one individually.
That are already set tight inside.
That are set tightly and beautifully, and it's not ideal for the pavers either because it's already in place as it should be.
All right, so now you're resetting sand and everything.
And then you have to go to the client and one by one, okay, does this one work? Is this one going to be okay?
that's crazy.
It is. It's out of control, honestly, with some of these things.
And by the way, that topic just happened yesterday.
Just happened yesterday. And
27 papers.
Yeah, 27. Yeah, and these are things we deal with, and no matter what we write in that invoice, telling people, warning them of these things ahead of time, it doesn't matter. They'll still, in the end, some of our clients will still say, I don't like this, and I'm not paying you until you do this, and it's challenging. It can be really frustrating at times and really tricky. And once again, we are kind of sadly harping on a lot of the negativity. If you can imagine, the negative experiences we've had weigh on us a lot more than the positive ones. The positive ones really are what keep us going.
It's a
truly
breath of fresh air.
It's a breath of fresh air. Every client that we have a positive experience with, and we've had
some
many.
of them have done video testimonials for us because they just really enjoyed the experience and really wanted to help us out.
We
really,
have a lot of wonderful clients. Some of our clients we're friends with. We'll actually get on the phone with some of our old clients and speak to them about, just BS, whatever, talk shop or just talk life. And, so we really have had some wonderful experiences and made some wonderful connections through this, but the challenging ones, I would love to say come few and far between. That is not the case, but they weigh heavily on you. And it is something that, as business owners, you have to learn how to manage, how to deal with it, and also how to keep it from eating you, eating away at you until there's nothing left.
It's like a airline person working the desk and the counter. They just have nothing left in them to answer to people who are so upset. I can't believe I'm missing my flight because of you. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, let me take a look and see what I can do.
And you're right. Yeah. It was my personal fault that you're missing your flight. And
I'm the one who didn't get you through TSA check quick enough. It's like, come on. You guys should have gotten up a little bit earlier. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate with this too. Like air travel is already a stressful process, which I get. But, when we're talking high-end luxury custom construction, sure, the construction process is challenging, but you're getting something that's awesome.
Right.
You're getting something that's so cool, and it should just be exciting and fun. And you should just be like, anticipation. I can't wait to get my awesome project that we designed and, in a live design meeting, and it looks so cool on the design. I can't wait to see that in my own backyard. And it should be an exciting process. It should be a fun thing.
It is. It's awesome.
And for some, it really is that. It's just that. But for some, it's like, apparently, it's like
should have been done yesterday, and I'm not very happy with how it isn't going.
Yeah.
It's like one of those scenarios that inherently we always get after we've booked, we've told everybody a timeline, because we do set expectations on a timeline right up front. I mean, we're very honest with that. Mm-hmm. And then it's like a couple weeks later, and they're like, oh, well, we're having a party. There's 200 people coming to my house on, Tuesday, May 11th.
Which is a month before you told me that we'd get it done, but you have to get it done by then now.
Yeah, this party that always shows up,
there's always a party. It's always a party.
Everybody's got this big party, and we've actually checked on that before, and no party going on at the house.
No party happening.
Right after we rushed, pushed it to get it done. It was just like, no, that was just... I was putting pressure on you guys.
Once again, it's somebody thinking they're not actually going to move on my project unless I start really pushing them and being a jerk or just lying to them. And, which is, it couldn't be further from the truth for us, at least for this business. Yes. Is that true for other construction businesses? Many of them, absolutely. We have heard some horror stories, and these are typically the most interesting experiences we get with clients is when we hear about their experiences with other construction companies and the horror stories that they've gone through. And we have found that in South Florida in particular, this is a very bad environment for construction and contractors. We have a lot of our clients are seasonal, and they're from the Northeast, and they live up there part of the year, down here, or they used to be up there full time. Now they're down here full time. And they're experiences in the Northeast compared to down in South Florida with construction are vastly different.
Integrity tends to be a bit stronger up there for whatever reason. Down here, we've got scams galore.
Oh yeah,
it's like how many illegal businesses were open during COVID? With $20 million PPP loans or SBA loans, at that time.
We hear, honestly, clients of ours all the time telling us, well, they gave a big
Florida
deposit for a pergola or something, and then they never heard back from the guy. And, a lot of that stuff going on down here, which is really unfortunate. And sadly, that puts a big burden on our shoulders in terms of trying to turn that turn that around, to let people know, like, okay, but there are some good contractors here. We are absolutely one of them. And so when we are dealing with a client like that, usually it's immediate. Once they come in and start seeing how put together we are and how our process works and what our showroom looks like and all of that, they start right off, okay, I got to tell you, I've had some really bad experiences, and I even got completely ripped off, and then I had to fire a contractor on another job, and this and that, and right off the bat, I'm telling you, you guys clearly have your things together a lot more. Like, I'm using this as an experience for future construction work. I'm going to be looking for companies like you in the future, so that I know right up front that I can have a little more comfort in knowing that things are going to get done, and they're going to get done right. And so those are really good experiences for us. That's when it's just like, you recognize the effort we're putting in here. I appreciate that so much, because we put in so much effort. I can't really describe the time spent and the thought processes that we put into giving a good customer experience, putting our systems in place to make sure things go right, that we get things done in a timely manner, making sure to try to get people to trust us and understand why they can trust us from the start. Sadly, it's something that we tell people all the time, but it's something we felt we need to tell people. Hey, where we're located. We're not going anywhere. Basically just saying, hey, we have a physical location. It's not like a guy just showed up to your house in a pickup truck saying, I can do the work, give me a deposit. Like, we're not going anywhere. You can see us. Where we are. You can come to our door and come into our office.
Our door is locked, though, so you're not getting.
You're not just getting right.
You can't get to us. I don't think you're getting me.
But no, I mean, you can come here and see us and say, hey, why'd you guys steal my money? You would never, ever say that, because we would never, ever do that. And it's because we have a reputation to think about. We
put our name on.
We put our name on the business. That should tell most people something right off the bat. We're proud enough about what we do that we literally put our name on the business, and it's on every truck and every vehicle and the front of the showroom and right here. I mean, it's everywhere. And so we do all of that purposely to make sure that customers and potential customers know, like, we're putting ourselves out there. We take what we do very seriously. We've put a lot of thought into it, and we're doing it the right way.
Yeah, I agree. And it is so nice when we get the great clients and the good customers and we have a good rapport. Obviously, you're not going to mesh well with every human.
No.
And just because somebody's giving you money doesn't mean you're going to see eye to eye. And there's certain things that, communication-wise, people tend to assume and feel a certain way about certain things. And sometimes, too, like that, it may be Cory and I may have a great relationship with somebody when they are signing and they feel really good with us. And then Alan, our project manager, takes over the job and Alan's not seeing eye to eye with them, or vice versa.
Vice versa too.
A lot of times we're like, Alan, I'm not sure how this one's going to go. Hopefully make sure we're doing this or that, make sure you're communicating this and that. And then he ends up at the end of the job. He's like, oh, they're the best. And I'm like, wow, that's surprising. I'm happy to hear that,
Similarly, the showroom meetings, they're all me. I'm doing all the showroom meetings. It's only me with the clients. But then once we actually get down to the design process, that's typically mostly me. I'm the one they're sitting in my office at my desk. I've got their design up on the TV, and I'm sitting with them once again for hours. Once again, very mentally draining to go through this, to be chatting while also doing technical design work in front of them live. It's a challenging meeting to manage, but at least that design is kind of all encompassing for the most part. We're just kind of going through that process. But after we've done the design, we like to get an updated quote for them right away, so that right now you've seen the design, you know exactly what we're doing. Let's tell you exactly what it's going to cost, because we do fixed price contracts and everything. So Chad actually comes in, and this is perfect. This is just a little tip on kind of ways to manage handling clients and things like that, I start taking notes on the changes we've made to the design, because I've just gone through the whole design. I've done it all. So I start taking the notes on what we've changed to the design compared to what the initial quote was on. Chad comes in and he sits on the couch in the office and he starts chatting with the client. And it might be a client I don't mesh with very well, and it was kind of tricky to get through the design, and I was just trying to focus on the design because the communication wasn't going so great in terms of chatting and stuff like that. And Chad and I have very different ways about us in terms of, how we communicate and the things that we think about and focus on and stuff like that. And so sometimes it works absolutely beautifully it usually works beautifully in general, but sometimes it's like the perfect thing. Oh, thank God, Chad, you're in here. And he starts talking to the client and kind of takes over that communication. So I can just have a moment to be taking the notes that I need to take. And perhaps the fact that I wasn't meshing with them very well during the design, and I was just like, because of that, I'm just trying to focus on getting through the design process. Maybe Chad comes in and starts having a great conversation with them. And then it's like, oh, okay, wonderful. He's just given them this comfort level of, this is who we are, and I'm chatting with you, and we're talking. He usually talks fluff at that point, social stuff. He talks a little bit about timeline and logistics for their project, but then, he doesn't have a lot to go into on that. So as I'm still taking notes, then he just starts talking, hey, what do you do for a living? Hey,
it works out well.
It works out really well. And so the fact that the two of us combine in that meeting, anybody who maybe I don't mesh with beautifully, he comes in and does. And so it kind of gives that comfort level right from the start. I mean, very rarely, but occasionally both of us have challenges with the client. And sometimes it's vice versa. It's hard to get through the design because we're having just this social chat atmosphere because I get along with them beautifully. And then Chad comes in and he's more straight to business. And so that's kind of a tip.
Most people usually don't like me because I'm the numbers guy, though. So I usually go down in the books as the bad guy when I walk in the room.
I'm doing the fun part. We're like doing a live design in front of them. They get to see exactly how their project looks in their patio. And
you're the car sales guy, nice guy. And then let me get the finance manager out here to discuss the numbers. And you're like, oh no.
I like being the nice guy.
It's not fun. It is great when the clients really mesh with us and the whole process goes smooth and they let us do the job. And that's a big part of it too. Like when we're on the job is that we're not finished until we're finished, and to let us get through it. A lot of the times clients are living at their houses, and so they're every afternoon when we've left the job, they're out there nitpicking or looking at it and kind of critiquing things and sending us messages saying, oh my gosh, it doesn't have this on it. And we're like, yeah, no, it doesn't yet. It's going on tomorrow, and so it's those expectations setting that you're having to do throughout that process. And I think, when it's a good client, it really rolls well. It's such a smooth experience. And I think, we try to, I don't know, anybody read The Gold Standard before, Ritz-Carlton book? It's a great book if you haven't read it. And it kind of just talks about going above and beyond in customer experience and making sure that clients are always, come first, really. And that's what we really try to do, although we do like respect in our right, of what we do and how we do things. We always put our clients first, and that's always our first priority. And this is a good quote from Ritz. It says, "We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen." And I think it's really
that's the Ritz-Carlton, not the Ritz cracker.
No, that's definitely not the Ritz cracker, but kind of, I guess they're serving food. It's more so, but yeah, it's definitely more of a, general, like you said earlier, the whole, we're going to give you respect and we just ask for the same in return. I think that is just the best thing when it works out well with clients in the retail space.
Yeah, and I actually had a little quote myself that I wanted to put out there.
And I have one more quote.
Oh,
and then I got another one after that.
I just like this one a lot because it goes along with on our website it says quality isn't expensive, it's priceless, and a quote from Aldo Gucci, which is quality is remembered long after price is forgotten. And that's I think that's, I'd love that to be on the top of our customers' minds from the start. Sadly, for many of them, that doesn't take effect until the project is over.
Right.
And once again, until price is forgotten.
Right.
But they will remember the quality of the work that we did, the customer service that we provided, and they'll enjoy the quality of the project we've provided them for years and years to come. And I think that's one of the things that really kind of keeps us going as well, is just knowing that we're doing the best we can. We're putting the best product out there that we can. We're providing the best service that we can. And that's something that even if not another single person on the planet recognized, we know it. It's important to us. Yeah. And that's our focus, and that gets us through every day, knowing that we're happy with who we are and how we do what we do.
Yeah, and that's really the good, little bit of good, the bad and the ugly mostly of retail clientele in our business and construction in South Florida. But we appreciate everybody tuning in to the episode 6 of Brothers Contracting, and we have a lot more to offer in our coming episodes. So thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.